Hello everybody, today we're taking a look at the Hobbymate Elite Balance Charger. So what you get in the package is an 80-watt charger, which is impressive just to start off with, because most of the chargers like this are only 50 or 60 watts. You get a 90-watt AC to DC converter. You get a lead to connect the DC input for the charger to an external battery if you're charging at the field. You get a battery lead that has both XT60 and Deans, and it's nice that they put the cover over the Deans to protect it when you're using XT60. And you get an adapter to connect up to the battery lead for charging lead-acid batteries. So let's take a closer look at the charging module. On the front, you have buttons to select battery type, decrease, increase, and an enter button. On the left side, you have a DC input here that accepts input from either 11 to 18 volts, and a temperature sensor input. The temperature sensor is not included with the kit. You can buy it separately, but honestly, I never use them. On the right side, you have the battery lead connector, and you have the balance leads for your lithium batteries. Also with the kit, you get a detailed manual that covers all the functions of the charger that I'm going to be reviewing today. So let's plug it in and take a look at all the functions in detail. You have 4 different major function groups on this charger. The first group is selecting what kind of battery you want to charge. So this can charge lithium batteries, nickel metal hydride and NiCad batteries, and lead acid batteries. Now let's go into each battery type in more detail. First, we have lithium batteries. Select Enter. It defaults to lithium polymer. From here you have options of balance charging, which is your standard balance charging that you use the balance leads on the side. This is what I use about 99% of the time. Then you have standard charge, which does not use the balance leads and does not balance. You have fast charge, which is essentially a standard charge, which cuts off the last little bit of the charging cycle. The way I think about this is the last 5% of the charging takes about 20% of the time. So this effectively charges your battery to 95%, but only takes 80% of the time. Then you have LiPo storage, which will charge or discharge your battery to the point where it has the proper storage voltage, which is 3.85 volts for LiPo batteries. And you have LiPo discharge, which will discharge your batteries to that storage voltage. And then you're back to the LiPo balance. So now going back out to the main menu, our next battery type is nickel metal hydride and NiCads. Pressing Enter, we have the charge function here. You can set the charge current. You have discharge function. You can set the discharge current, and also to what voltage that it will stop discharging. And you have the charging cycle. From here, you can set the number of times that it goes through a charge-discharge cycle. This is for conditioning your nickel metal hydride and your NiCad batteries. Now we hit battery type to go back out to the main menu. Go to the next battery type, which are lead acid. Press Enter. Again, similar to the other battery types, you can set the charge current and what size battery you're charging. You can charge your car batteries, your tractor batteries, and your motorcycle batteries with this. You can also discharge it, similar function, again setting the discharge current and the voltage at which it will stop discharging, and then back out to the main menu. So the second group of functions on this charger are the user settings. So pressing Enter, here you can change if it's beeping or not. When I'm pressing the buttons, you hear the beep. You can turn that on and off, and the volume of that beep. Next, you have the completion ring. When the charger gets done charging, it'll beep at the end of charging. In this case, it's set to beep for a total of 1 minute. You can make it longer if you want. You have the cycle waste time. So back on the nickel metal hydride and NiCad setting, for the charge-discharge cycles, this is the amount of time it'll wait between each one of the cycles. You have the low input voltage cutoff. So if you had this hooked up to your, let's say your car battery, and the voltage you could You could have a function here where it would stop charging if that voltage got too low. And so you can set that voltage right here. You have the external temperature cutoff. If we had the external temperature sensor configured and wired in, you would be able to have it stop charging once that temperature sensor read a certain temperature. You have the capacity cutoff, so this is at 8,000 milliamp hours. So if you're charging a large battery and you don't want it to charge over a certain amount, it's kind of a safety feature. You can set this to that. It's set very high here now that covers just about all range of batteries. You have the safety timer. You can change this. This will, if it takes longer than 240 minutes to charge a battery, it'll shut down the timer. And you have the charger power limit. This is an 80-watt charger, so it's set to 80 watts. And then you have the lithium balance control. That's set to standard. I would leave that on that. You have termination voltages. So each different types of lithium battery has a different termination voltage. So it charges standard lithium polymers to 4.2 volts, and you could change that in here. And for each different type of lithium battery, you could change the point at which it stops charging. I recommend that you do not change this. This has already been set by the factory to the right levels. And the very last option is to reset the factory default settings. So if you mess up some of the settings in here, you just want to quickly restore the factory settings, you can do that right here. And then we're back to the beginning. So again, hitting battery type to go to the main menu. So going to the next function, we have the extra functions, pressing enter. We have the battery status for lithium batteries. Essentially here, you can plug in a battery and plug it into balance lead, and it'll tell you the percent capacity you have on the battery, whether it's X percent full, and what the voltage is on each cell. And then you have the internal resistance of a battery. This is a pretty neat function. This measures the resistance in milliohms for each one of your cells, so it gives you an idea of how good or bad a battery pack health is, essentially. So we'll test this function out when we hook up a battery to this. So you have a balancer, and if you wanted to just balance your battery from its present state, whatever it happens to be, not taking you to a particular voltage, but just make sure all the cells are balanced, you can use this function. You have digital power. Essentially what you can do here is this essentially turns the charger into a DC power source. You can set the voltage here to whatever you want the output to be on the charge lead, and the maximum current that it'll output. And then you have smart battery charger, and you back out to the main battery status. So pressing battery type again gets us back out to the main menu. And the last function is to load memory. So here you can set up different memory spots for up to 20 different types of batteries. And you can load those kind of like presets, so you don't have to adjust the settings. And here we go in full circle, and we're back to the different types of batteries. So now let's hook up a battery and see how we might start charging it. For this, I'm using a 4S 1300 milliamp hour LiPo battery. So this has got an XT60 on it. So I'll just hook it up to the XT60 connector. And on the side here, noticing that there are tabs on the balance lead, I would plug that in to the balance connector for 4S. So now we go over to battery type, and I would load up lithium battery, press enter. So now we go over to standard LiPo balance charge. It knows that this is a 4S battery because I have it plugged into, it senses that there's 4 cells here plugged in. And so what I would do here is I'll press enter, and this allows me to select what type of battery it is, because we've talked about there are multiple different types of batteries. So this is a LiPo, but just to go through the options, you have lithium high voltage, you have lithium ion, you have lithium iron, and you're back to LiPo. So there are 4 different types of lithium batteries, but this is a lithium polymer battery, so I'm selecting that. And then you go to the charge current, and so this is a 1300 milliamp hour battery. So to charge at 1C, I would charge it at 1.3 amps. The 1300 just turns into 1.3. If you want to charge it faster, you need to look at your battery's manufacturer specifications. They may allow for faster charging, but you're always safe at 1C. So I always charge at 1C, and then it already knows that it's a 4.8 4S battery, 4.8 volt 4S battery. Hold down the enter button. It checks the battery. It confirms that it's a 4S battery. You press enter, and it's starting to charge. So here what it's showing you, it's a 4S LiPo. It's showing you that it's charging at 1.3 amps. It has the voltage currently is 15.31, so that'll continue to increase until it reaches 16.8 volts, and that's when it'll be close to being done charging. It is balancing. The charge cycle has been going on for 20 or 30 seconds at this time, and it has put in 9 milliamp hours into the battery. So if this battery was absolutely 100% depleted, which I never take my batteries down that low, but if it was, then when it gets done charging, that'll be close to 1300 for a 1300 milliamp hour battery. So if I just let this continue to charge, ultimately it would reach 16.8 volts, and it would show me total amount of capacity to put back in the battery. But I'm going to go ahead and stop it here to show you some of the other functions. So the other functions that I want to show you are, go back out to the main menu here. We'll go over to the extra functions. So in here, we have this LiPo status battery meter. So we press enter here. It says what type of battery you have. I have a LiPo, and I'll press enter, hold it down, and it shows me it's a 4S battery that I have connected. It has a voltage of 15.25 volts, and it has approximately 37% of its 100% capacity. So it gives you an idea of how full the battery is. So that's pretty slick. And then go back out, and you go to this battery internal resistance, and then you can press this. So what this does, it measures in milliohms each cell. So each one of these numbers up here, they're all zeros, which is an indication that this battery is in really good shape. Measures the internal resistance. The higher the number here, the poorer the health of the battery. So I have a battery here that is not one of my better batteries, and I'll hook it up and show you what it reads. So this is a 3S battery, so I'm plugging in the 3S slot. Press enter again. You see here, these are 29, 29, and 34 milliohms on this pack. So this battery is not a great battery. So this will be a soft battery, and where the other one is much, much better. So, but this gives you kind of a relative idea of how good a condition your batteries are in. So press stop here, and we can go back out to the main menu. So let me show you something else that you can do with a charger like this. So because this is an 80-watt charger, you can actually purchase a fairly inexpensive parallel charging board like this that'll let you charge multiple batteries all at once. So these charger boards run about $10, $15, and they come with this charge lead, and you can plug this straight into the balance charger. All the connectors are the same, and you plug it in here, and then you can plug in multiple batteries. So this is called parallel charging, and you can charge multiple batteries as long as they're the same cell count. So I have 3 4S batteries here. They're all pretty close to the same voltage, around 15.3 volts. And what you can do is plug all of them into the charge lead at once, I always plug in the main leads first. And then I plug in the balance leads. That way, if there's some differential voltage, it's taking care of it through the main leads and not the balance leads, which are much smaller wires. And so this just gives you an example of how powerful this charger is. So each one of these batteries is 1.3 or 1300 milliamp hours. So if I were to charge each one of them, it would be 1.3 amps. But actually, I can triple it now because I'm using 3 batteries all in parallel with each other. So the 1.3 times 3 is 3.9 amps. So I can enter the charge mode here, go down to the current, take it up to 3.9 amps, hold down the enter button, confirm, and now what it's doing is going to charge all these cells, all these packs at the same time, 3.9 amps, and it's going to charge all 3 of these batteries in the time that it would have taken just to charge one by itself. So you can see where something like this, if you have a more powerful charger like this, then you can do parallel charging and you can charge batteries much faster. So this is a great charger, whether you're just starting off in the hobby and this is your first charger, or you need a second charger. So I think what makes it stand out from some of the other chargers out and available is that it's 80 watts, where a lot of the other chargers are either 50 or 60 watts. You charge just about every different battery chemistry that is out there, and it is supported by Hobbymate. Hobbymate stands behind their products. They offer 1-year warranty. They have good tech support, and they're active in the RC forums. So all in all, I think this is a really nice charger.